Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Oscar Buzz. Trevor here. I'm joined by Thomas, as always, and we're getting into Best Original Screenplay today. A very, very interesting category. Yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so we've been saying all year, and I stand by this still now.
Agreed. Yeah.
Barbie,
Yes,
right?
I think
Even when it
so.
wasn't adapted, I think that this is like the screenplay film for the year. It just has always made the most sense.
Yeah, there's a narrative there for giving winners to Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach. It's a very showy screenplay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's probably going to be quite a big film and all of that kind of thing. I think
Yep.
original is probably the best place for this. It sort of separates itself away from the other major picture contenders, like we see Oppenheimer, Killers, Poor Things. They're all in. Adapted, I think the biggest contender for this one. Well, I guess you've got Past Lives there, which maybe won't be a necessarily picture contender, but could contender in screenplay just off the merit of the screenplay alone. But I
Yeah.
think probably if I'm looking for a number two, it would be The Holdovers. Just
I
having
mean,
seen
I'd
the
even argue
film,
Past Lives number 2, if I'm being honest. But
potentially, I don't know. Having seen the film, The Holdovers is a very showy screenplay. Like it's
sure.
doing all of the screenplay things. So I definitely could see there being a narrative there, and if the film really does hit with a contingent of Academy voters, which I could see it doing, it's a very Academy friendly film. Then potentially it could rise up, especially if there is maybe we get sort of an anti Barbie narrative towards the end of award season, which I
Sure.
can sort of envision. I do think towards the end we will start seeing people not want to go for Barbie and to say sort of Barbie's a bit played out at this point and go for things like holdovers and other stuff in picture, which that's where I'm leaning, but I still think Barbie would have enough strength to win out.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think Barbie's going to be fine. It makes sense. It's a genre film. They love their genre stuff. And like it feels like it's important. It feels like it's saying something, but it's also having fun while doing it. Plus, as we said, Greta, Noah. Like that
Yeah.
were the key players. Again, I would maybe personally say Past Lives as number 2, just because that feels like that like quiet indie thing that can maybe they want to reward as a screenplay thing, but you've seen both of them. Regardless, all 3 of these things are definitely going to be nominated.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I mean, they're the top three. And I'd even
yeah,
argue Anatomy of a Fall, which is the fourth one.
I
It's not
think
going
it's
to
solidly
win,
in.
but it's very solidly in. Like, especially if
Yeah,
it's going to be a picture contender. No way does this not happen for things like screenplay when the screenplay is right there and so good. And it's my personal probably screenplay of the year, I'd say.
yeah.
I'd
I
have
mean,
to
I
think
go
about it,
Past
but
Lives. It's also in this category, but yeah,
exactly, yeah. But I mean, it definitely, if it's not won it, it's in like the top three. So
yeah,
100%. It's a worthy
yeah.
nom that is very likely to happen.
And listen, you could look at anybody. They're gonna have these 4. I think that this is the fairly consensus 4 at this point, as far as elsewhere. Where are you leaning right now? Because we have Maestro, we have May December, we have Air, Rustin still kicking about. Where are you leaning at this point?
I think I think it might just be Maestro. I think we
That's
might
where
get
I'm
a
leaning as well.
very like, especially in adapted, we've got the space for a lone screenplay sort of thing. Like we've
Yeah.
got that fifth spot potentially there for that to happen, which we do usually see. But in this case, we do have 5 films that are going to be 5 major contenders, or at least in generally the Oscars, let alone in picture. So I don't know how big Maestro will actually go, but it's got a chance to go bigger than maybe we're even expecting now, especially with
Yeah.
wins in actor, potentially a win in lead
I mean,
actress.
it
Like
has a really high ceiling for nominations.
exactly. And like yes, the term messy has been thrown about a bit, but it's not like a major detractor people are having with the film. People are not really having problems with the screenplay in
No.
maybe the way we were expecting them to
Mhm.
going in and after hearing the first reaction. So I don't see why the film would be isolated from the screenplay nomination, especially if it is a big contender. Therefore, I just think it's the safest thing to do at this point. It's a thing that makes sense and it's a thing that probably could happen. Whereas a lot of people I expect want, me included, May, December, a thing like
Yeah.
that to happen, something fun. But you know, I think at the end of the day, we will just get the 5 major picture contenders in this category.
Yeah, and again, and that's kind of the big point, is that it's the biggest picture contender. Now, we talk about May December, could make sense as a lone thing, or like
It
maybe
could,
shows them on
100%.
that, like it's a very righty film, it's very camp, it's very fun. The other thing that I think that we should talk about is Air,
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I
which
think this is the case of if it's happening at all, which I don't know if it will actually happen for anything, maybe outside of Viola Davis. I'm just not confident in the film
I just don't feel
generally.
good about it.
I just don't feel good about it.
And
But
and
if
we
it
talked
is,
about
yeah, screenplay is definitely there for it.
Right, and we talked about those. I mean, like the all the screenings that MGM was doing for it. Now, guess what they've been doing? They've been switching over to American Fiction.
Yeah,
They've been flipping their attention over there. Which I think is smart
it's
because
the right
like
decision.
that is where a lot of the passion seems to be right now. And can Air make a comeback? Like can it be that thing that comes out at the beginning of the year? People liked for some reason. I still don't understand why people like this movie, but for some reason, people liked it, right?
Yeah,
And then everybody forgets about it, but then, with the right campaign, it's able to come back. Everybody's like, "Oh yeah, I did remember that thing that made me feel good and was like really, fun and just relaxing and, like it's just that nice awardsy type film that you're gonna put in and on your FIC screeners and show to your family over the holidays." Can it be that? Maybe. I'm just not convinced.
yeah. I mean, the thing is with it is that it's a very easy campaign to run. Like, it's very
Yeah.
easy to know exactly who's going to go for this film and
Mhm.
exactly which contingent of Academy voters, of which it is probably a fairly big one, who
Yeah.
would potentially go for a film like this. I just don't know. I don't know if they'll be bothered, MGM. I don't know if people will be passionate enough about it when you've already got other things that are presumably going to be appealing to the same sort of voters. I'm looking at Maestro, I'm looking at the Holdovers, these
Yep.
sorts of traditional Oscar type
And MGM's
things.
already
There's
bad enough
already
as
a
it is.
few of them. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Like,
So
like they're already bad enough as it is, and if they're starting to make it clear that American Fiction is their top priority, do we really think that they're going to be strong enough to push two things? Like, they almost fumbled Women Talking, which should have been the easiest thing ever, right?
yeah,
Like, they completely fumbled Cyrano. I mean,
yes, yeah,
I'm already scared of like, how hard they're gonna fumble American Fiction. Do I think that they can add another thing on their plate? I mean, sure they have Amazon that they're working with now, but I'm still not convinced.
yeah. And I guess they might even think that Air is the type of thing that can campaign itself to more of a degree, which I'd argue it can. Like, it can
Yeah, I feel like it
potentially
could if it came
campaign
out at fall
itself.
festivals
But
though.
yeah, this is what I'm saying. I don't think the passion will be there for it to
Yeah,
do that. So yeah, I'm just not confident about Air in general. If it is, yes, I'd be definitely predicting it for Screenplay. That's the exact kind of number that would happen. But as of now, I'm sticking with the five that we've got. With May December even above Air. Like, I think May
I agree.
December is just on the outside. It is that type of thing that
Which is
specifically
annoying because I think
Screenplay
we are just
categories
doing
usually
the
go for.
Gold Derby order, but yeah.
Yes, I think so. I think so. But hey, what can you do? Sometimes God
Yep.
Derby gets it right.
Yeah, 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 except they don't have Barbie number 1, which they have at 3,
Oh,
which is kinda crazy. Anyways, other things that are kind of around, Saltburn, it's not happening. I've seen
no.
it, other people have seen it, it's absolutely not. I understand Emerald's been on one before, it's not happening.
Yeah.
Rustin,
Be weird. I don't. I
it would be
yeah.
weird, like, this would be like if they completely kinda turned the corner on Rustin and it did end up being a thing and, like, they were able to get Domingo in
I mean,
and,
if
like
Domingo gets launched into sort of a more win contending,
right, I'm
and
saying, like,
then
what if
the
this is
rest of
just
the
a
film
so-so?
gets dragged up with it. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think it's possible. Like, okay, well, I don't think it's impossible, but I don't think it's probable, is what I
No.
should say.
Agreed.
Um, I don't really feel good about anything else. I'm just gonna randomly throw out bottoms because it should
Just because
happen,
why not?
just because
Yeah.
why not? And it's
Yeah.
very funny and should get a WGA nomination at the very least. I think that's pretty much it though. And anything else you want to touch on for this category?
Not really. Not really. Things like Asteroid City aren't going to happen. I mean, you've got You Hurt My Feelings, which would be a great nom, but not
Yeah.
happening. So yeah, there's really not much else
It's a really
in the
compact
category.
bunch of films, and it really does feel like it's gonna be those top 4, and then,
One of
like,
the three that
a
we talk
streaming
about.
thing. Like, Maestro,
Yes.
May
Yeah.
December, Rustin maybe, but, like, mainly Maestro, May December, or Air, which is I'm counting because it's distributed by Amazon as well. Like,
Yeah.
it really does feel like a lock 3 and then one of those 4.
For
Will
sure.
fill that last spot, and it is only November, and a lot of things can change. But unless we see major shakeups in like the picture players in the hierarchy of the films in that sense, I would be kind of surprised if we didn't see like, the 5 nominees come from those 7 films at least.
Yes, I'd be surprised as well. I'd be surprised if we don't have 4 out of 4 already, as you
Yeah,
say.
yeah,
I
I agree.
think the 4 that we've talked about are fairly locked, and unless like because they're campaigning Barbie and original, but then the Academy decide to do something else.
To do an
That's like the only
adapted or
thing.
if like
Yeah,
Anatomy of a Fall completely falls off the map or something
yeah,
weird like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I think it's I don't know. I feel pretty good about this category. I feel pretty good about it.
Agreed, agreed.
But that is it for our conversation on Best Original Screenplay. Best Adapted Screenplay is going to be coming very, very shortly. But until then, you can support the SAG strike in the link in the description. You can also follow us on social media if that is something that you're interested in. Make sure that you stay tuned for some upcoming videos. We got about the Oscars, the Emmys, the Grammys, movies, TV, music, all the fun things. And until then, thank you everybody for watching. Stay safe and goodbye.